Welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 445 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, I'm not only asking you to agree with me, I'm asking you to hear me out. I'm going to start this episode with a little bit of a disclaimer. The first part of this episode is going to be talking about the Olympics. Obviously, I think it ended on Sunday, and this is the first episode since then. I want to give some of my takeaways from the Olympics. So if you don't want to hear about it, if you're tired of hearing about it, in the description, I have the timestamps. You can just go to another section of the episode. Understand. But I'm just letting you know the first part of this episode is going to be my takeaways from, I guess, the entire experience of the Olympics. And where I want to start is a conversation that started brewing or got hot as fish grease after Team USA men won the gold. In fact, there's two conversations that kind of came about with this, and one of them is regarding Steph Curry and where Steph Curry ranks on the all-time point guard list. Now, Steph Curry, I know it's crazy when you look at the last two games and you see how magical he was the last two games against Serbia and against France. Serbia, he had 36 points. France, I think he had like 24 points. I know he scored like the last 9 or 12 points for Team USA. He was absolutely fantastic the last two games of the Olympic play to obviously secure gold for Team USA. And the conversation started up again as to, I'll say, who is the greatest point guard of all time? And the conversation obviously is surrounding two people at this point is Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Now, I talked about this a while ago. I talked about how people that know me and people that listen to this podcast should know my infinity, I guess you can say, or affinity, I don't know what the word is, for Steph Curry. I am a huge Steph Curry fan. I think that Steph Curry obviously is one of the greatest players of all time, not just point guards. And, you know, the NBA resume is long. We can talk about the 4 championships. You can talk about the 2 MVPs. You can talk about the scoring titles. You can talk about 50-49. There's a lot that you can talk about, and we're not going to sit here and dissect every single accomplishment Steph Curry has garnished. And when I did have this conversation before, I think it was a couple months ago when it started sparking up again. Or actually, I think this conversation started sparking up again after 2022 championship when obviously the Golden State Warriors beat the Boston Celtics to win it all. And the whole where Steph Curry legacy is and everything. And I remember having that conversation on this podcast, and I said that it would be very hard for me, a person that is a huge fan of Steph Curry, a person who I guess that you can say Steph Curry is probably my favorite player right now currently playing. It would take a Herculean effort for Steph Curry to dethrone Magic Johnson, who has, I think, more championships. I think he has 5. It will just be extremely tough for me to see anybody dethrone Magic Johnson as the best point guard of all time. But you see, since that conversation, more information has been given. More information has been collected. More data has been collected. You see, we're going to talk about everyone on the Olympic team sort of in a second, but pertaining to Steph Curry, Steph Curry is 36 years old. 36 years old. Kind of like LeBron James, kind of like Steph or Kevin Durant, both obviously on Team USA. At some point, there's supposed to be a drop-off. Now, you can say that this year was a drop-off for Steph Curry. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors as a whole didn't make the playoffs. But Steph Curry was still the best player by far on the Golden State Warriors. And then when you look at what happened with Team USA and how integral he was to securing gold, let's not get it confused. Team USA would not be gold medalist for the men's side if it wasn't for Steph Curry right now. I understand that LeBron James won the Olympic MVP, and rightfully so. We'll talk about that in a second. But this team would not have won gold if it wasn't for the heroics of Steph Curry and the incredible all-time shooting from Steph Curry. So let's not beat around the bush much longer. I said that it would take a lot for me to dethrone Magic Johnson as the greatest point guard of all time. But as I sit here today, I think one takeaway that I have from this Olympics is Steph Curry is indeed the greatest point guard of all time. See, it's not just there's things that Magic Johnson obviously can do that Steph Curry can't. Or I'll say it like this. There's things that Magic Johnson is far better than Steph Curry at. He's a better rebounder. He's a better on-ball defender. Magic Johnson, he has I think one more ring than Steph. There are things that Magic Johnson does incredibly better than Steph Curry. I think, I'm not going to say much better, but he's a better assist player than Steph Curry. But there's things that Steph Curry does and Steph Curry has done that Magic Johnson cannot do. Magic Johnson can't even come close to the offensive weapon that Steph Curry is. When we talk about the three-point shot, when we talk about his ability to erupt at any point of time, like, again, against in France, well, the gold medal game against France, Steph Curry erupts in the fourth quarter. I think he scores 12 or 15 points in the fourth quarter alone. Like, and that happens on a regular basis. Steph Curry can just turn it on, and when he turns it on, you saw against France when he shot the ball over two players. Bruh, that's one of the greatest heat checks, and I think Kevin Durant even said it. That's one of the greatest heat checks I've ever seen. Not because of the situation. Obviously, Team USA was winning, but France was on a roll. France was coming back. France cut the deficit. Steph Curry just hit two back-to-back back-breaking threes against France. If you go back and look at the last play where Steph Curry hits the three over two, I think it was Nicolas Batum and another French player. Look to the left of that picture. Who was open? LeBron James and Kevin Durant were wide, both of them. LeBron James, who is, the leading scorer in NBA history. Kevin Durant, who is the leading scorer in Olympic play history. Both of them were wide open. And Steph Curry said, "Nah, I'm going to shoot this joint." And shot it over two players and made it. Magic Johnson could never do that. Now, this isn't me poo-pooing or crapping on Magic Johnson. Again, I think that when we talk about the greatest point guards of all time, it's a two-man race. It's Steph and it's Magic Johnson. No offense to anybody else, but those are the vanguards. Those are the two players that deserve to be in this conversation. And seeing as though Steph is 36, and now obviously technology, medicine, the way that you care for your body is different, but Steph Curry looked much different than Magic Johnson did at 36. Now, yes, body type is different, play style is different, but still, the fact that a 36-year-old Steph Curry was one of the biggest reasons why Team USA secured gold. Told me all I need to know. And he did it in dominating fashion. It's not just the three-point shooting. Because I think when we talk about Steph, he gets a bad rap in a sense of all people want to say is, well, all he is a three-point shooter. If you're at a point where you look at Steph Curry and all you think is he's just a three-point shooter, that just means that you're not watching the games. Steph, to me, is probably the greatest, one of the greatest sons. And I don't mean S-O-N. I mean S-U-N-S. Sons we've ever seen. And what I mean by that is, when you look at the planets, when you look at the solar system, everything revolves around the sun, right? During a game, just look at how much attention goes to Steph Curry when he's on the floor. Not just his teammates, but the opposing teammates. I think the reason why it was so baffling, well, the reason why it was so great and such a crazy thing to watch, Steph Curry dropped 36 against Serbia, is because it wasn't certain. Now, there were some plays, obviously, where Serbia's defense was just off. But after Steph Curry scored, I think 14 of the first 15 points. After that, they face guarded Steph Curry the entire game, and he still ended up with 36 points. Yeah, I know before I said that Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time, and this is no disrespect to Magic Johnson, but this is me saying there are things that Magic Johnson... Now, there are things that Steph Curry can't do that Magic Johnson can do, but there's things that Magic Johnson couldn't dream of doing. And it's not just the physical skill. It's the leadership. It's the ability to adapt to anything. The ability to be the nucleus for a championship caliber team, even at age 36. It's incredible, man. Speaking of incredible, let's kind of advance this conversation to another player. Now, this is a conversation that a lot of people like to stay away from. I'm one of those people because I feel like when you have this conversation, there are people that obviously are on the other side, different sides, and each side that doesn't agree with you is going to have something to say, rightfully so. I understand. That conversation is the quote-unquote GOAT conversation. Who's the greatest of all time? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it LeBron James? Now, I think when people hear this conversation, they instantly, when somebody picks a side, they say that, let's say they say Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. I think the LeBron James fans automatically hear, oh, LeBron James sucks. It's Michael Jordan and nobody else. I think that's what they hear. And in fairness, that could be what they mean by that. Or when they hear, no, it's definitely LeBron James over Michael Jordan. They hear LeBron James is light years, Michael Jordan's trash. I think that when we have, the reason why a lot of people, including myself, like to stay away from this conversation is because there isn't a middle ground. There isn't. Now, you can bring logic to the table, but a lot of times people don't want to listen to that logic. But this is a conversation that it's hard for me to shy away from, especially, you see, these Olympics showed a lot to me. Not just with basketball. We're going to talk about other sports soon, or other, outside of the men's Team USA in a second. But there was a lot of things that were answered to me during this Olympics. When we talk about track and field, we'll talk about that in a second. when we talk about how dominant Team USA is in swimming until you give an inch, you give a centimeter, and you can go from dominance to disappointment. That's what I learned from swimming. In swimming, while Team USA I do think is dominant, shouts out to Kayla Decky, shouts out to Tori, I forgot her last name, but shouts out to all the people that obviously medaled and walked away with gold and walked away with bronze and silver. But the margin of victory compared to the margin of defeat is centimeters wide, millimeters in some instances. That's a good microcosm to life. But back to this. While I don't enjoy jumping into this conversation because I feel like once you make a decision or once you give your opinion about something, the other side, whatever side you don't pick, stops listening, which I understand. But I think that it would be disingenuous if we continue to watch what we're watching out of LeBron James and not having a realistic conversation about, LeBron James is about to be 40 years old. And for the duration of the Olympics, not just 2 games, not just 1 game, not just the exhibitions. For the entirety of the Olympics, LeBron James was the best player. In my opinion, not just for Team USA, but for the Olympics, basketball. Now, I think probably the second best player, you can argue, I'll probably say Nikola Jokic, but LeBron James was the best, most consistent player throughout the Olympics. 39, almost 40-year-old LeBron James was the most consistent player in the Olympics. While Steph is the biggest reason as far as the last 2 games, LeBron James is the main reason why Team USA is walking or leaving or left Paris with gold. There were multiple times when every single person, even including Steph Curry, just didn't have it. Look, before the last 2 games, Steph Curry, I think, was averaging like 7 points a game and shooting like 20% from 3. I think LeBron James, I know for me, LeBron James is the greatest player I've ever seen. When you talk about, I think the biggest thing for me isn't the accolades. It isn't the trophies. The biggest thing for me is the longevity. And obviously someone can play for a long time. It's how effective and how good you are playing for as long as you have. That to me is the trump card in this entire situation. Now, I know Michael Jordan fans are going to say, hey, Michael Jordan played in college and that took away some of his years. I respect it. I understand. This isn't me decreasing my opinions on Michael Jordan. This isn't me throwing Michael Jordan's legacy away. This is me saying, for as long as LeBron James has been playing, and since, honestly, like day one, he's been one of, if not the best players in basketball. LeBron James is so good at this age. There are people now more upset with the Lakers than they were before the Olympics, because when you look and you see how good LeBron James played in these Olympics, when you look and you see how good Anthony Davis played in this Olympics, there should be no reason why this team hasn't really, I know they went to the Western Conference Finals, 2 years ago, but they got swept. There's no reason why this team that has two players that's playing as well or played as well as LeBron James and Anthony Davis did in this Olympics, no reason why that team shouldn't be in a much better situation, at least playoffs and championship wise, than it is. There should be no reason that a team that has two players that played exceptional this year in the Olympics should only have not just one championship, but one NBA Finals appearance. It's the longevity for me. It's the fact that LeBron James has been... Now, yes, there's been ebbs and flows, meaning there were times when he was considered... And that's crazy when you think about this next statement, man. There are times when LeBron James was arguably... Like right now, I think LeBron James is arguably top 10 in the league. You can argue top 7 or 8, but I'll say top 10. There was a lengthy portion of his career when he was by far the best player in the world. Like, it wasn't even close. Those Miami years when he went back, a lot of those Cleveland years, even though he didn't win in Cleveland before he went back, a lot of those years, it wasn't close who was the greatest player in basketball. So LeBron James's angle is top 10 to greatest his entire career. You're either in the top 10 or you're undoubtedly number one. And the fact that a 39-year-old player, about to be 40, gray is all in his beard, on a team with Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Jrue Holiday, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Tyrese Halliburton, that Devin Booker, that team, he was the best player by far. If that's not crazy to you, I don't know what it is. And because of that, you see, before the Olympics started, remember I said that I don't think we're going to see a lot of Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. I said that. I said, yeah, we shouldn't really see a lot of them because when you have the players that you have and you have the younger players, I think that those players are going to let the younger players play and let the younger players, lead Team USA to a champion or to gold. I think that was the goal. I think that was exactly what Steve Kerr and all of them wanted. You don't bring on Anthony Edwards. He doesn't have the sound bites that he has. And you think to yourself, yeah. He's our most important players, our oldest players. But that's how it was. Trust and believe. If you didn't have LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, Team USA might not have sniffed a medal. You can talk about accolades. Jordan has a plethora of them. LeBron James has a plethora of them. You can talk. When you're having this argument, you can have all the whatever your talking points are, whatever your bulletin board material, you can have it all up there. I think for me, and this is only for me, my biggest argument for LeBron James being the greatest player of all time is longevity. And when you look, you can say, well, Udonis Haslem, cool. And this isn't Udonis Haslem catching a stray. This is me saying there's a difference between playing for a long time and dominating for a long time. Again, I said it. LeBron James is his spectrum is between best player in the league by far or top 10. On his worst year, he's a top 10 player. And he's about to be 39. And a takeaway that I got from the Olympics is, while yes, Steph Curry was important, Steph Curry, I think, especially those last two games, was the most important. For the totality of the Olympics, there was not a player in any basketball team that was better than LeBron James. Which is why, especially when you see the talent, I mean, didn't they play like 61 NBA players were in the Olympics this year or something like that? So you have NBA talent all around, whether you talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whether you talk about Victor Wembanyama, Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, Bojan Bogdanovic, who went crazy. LeBron James, in my opinion, is the greatest player I've ever seen. And longevity is the reason why. So, another takeaway, and let's move on to the women's side. It's always interesting when things don't go to plan or don't go as planned. It's always interesting when you have a game plan for something, you have an idea for something, and everything that you plan just goes awry. That is a time when you see greatness happen. You either don't step up to the plate or you do. In life, your whole life can't be, well, let me say this. You can plan your whole life, but that doesn't mean that whatever you have planned is going to happen when you have it planned. I know a lot of women can relate to this. You ever have a plan as far as, I have a plan on what I'm going to get from the store, what I'm going to get from Target. I have a list of things. Then you ever go into Target and when you walk out, you have a cart full of things that wasn't in the plan. It's always interesting to see what happens when someone doesn't or something doesn't go to plan. How do you respond? Nothing about that Team USA gold medal game against France on the women's side was planned. Team USA had dominated the entire way, whether we talk about exhibition play, whether we talk about pool play. Team USA women dominated. Asia Wilson was having a Tour de France over in France. Brianna Stewart was reminding people why there was a good portion of years when people thought she was the best player in the world. Everything was clicking on full cylinder. Everything was going well. Team USA didn't really experience I think the closest game they had was against Australia. Team USA really didn't experience getting punched in the mouth. Now, I'm not saying that with Team USA getting punched in the mouth that they were supposed to win. What I'm saying is, you don't know what happens until it happens. I think that's an analogy with the boxer. You only know how good a boxer is once they get punched in the face. Once their game plan isn't going well. Once the their whole strategy has to get thrown out. That's when you see how good a boxer is. That's when you see, oh, is this boxer just a by the book boxer, or is he somebody that can that's a great. One thing I learned from Team USA women's side is this team that we had this year was an all-time great team. Now, I know you can say, well, Jay, how do you say they're an all-time great team and they won by 1 to France? And France only has like maybe 1. I think it was Charlie, she was going crazy. But how can you say they're an all-time great team? I'm not saying they are the greatest Team USA team we've had. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is this team got tested. Nothing. Asia Wilson was playing trash. Breonna Stewart wasn't hitting nothing. The rotations were a little wonky. And they still were able to prevail. Clear as day. Which is why, and it was rightfully so, and I said this going into it, there's not a country on this planet that has a player as good as Asia Wilson, and she showed it this entire outside of the Olympic or outside of the gold medal game. She showed it the entire Olympics. But from her to to Jackie Young, she emerged as a very important piece. Kalea Copper was probably the main reason why Team USA won gold. Sabrina Nadescu, Brianna Stewart, Brittany Griner, I'm sorry. I said Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Nafisa Collier. This is a squad, bro. I know people are going to, and I heard it. The game was close. You know who should have been on this team and it wouldn't be close? Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I don't know. I think that they'd be good pieces. But after watching what I saw this entire run, I don't think it would have mattered. I think they would have been cool pieces, but kind of like Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum, even though Jason Tatum being on that list is crazy. But just like them, I don't know if they would have get much playing time. Because who are you playing over outside of one person, but we're not going to talk about her. Like, this is one of the greatest. I think this is one of the greatest women's basketball teams we ever sent to the Olympics, because not only are they just 3 levels of they can do anything. You have a person that can do anything, but most of those teams weren't really tested because they were so dominant. So I'm not saying like they were trash or anything, but yeah, when they were tested, you saw, oh, this is what this team is made of. Yo, they were down, I think 12 points to France in the second half. It was second quarter, second half. And they still came back and won. So shouts out to them. In the gold medal game. So shouts out to basketball, man. Shouts out to Olympic basketball. I wanted to talk about track and field, but I feel like I talked about that a lot. But what I kind of want to do is I want to get into this Jordan Chiles situation. And this is the last thing I'll talk about for the Olympics. You know, I always think it's interesting when an organization, when people set precedents. It's always interesting who that precedent is set on. For people that don't know about this whole Jordan Chiles situation, Jordan Chiles obviously is a gymnast for Team USA. She was in, I think it was the freestyle, and the score came back, and when the original score came back, she would have landed, I think, in 4th or 5th place. But that score was wrong, meaning the judges did their job wrong. They did a poor job. They did a bad job. The judges, not Jordan, not Team USA, the judges did a poor job. Because they were wrong. Team USA noticed this. Now, the first set of documents said that Team USA, you'll have like a minute to appeal the score or whatever. The first document said that they did it in 1 minute and 4 seconds, deeming them too late. That's what the first, I guess, first accusation was. If that was true, that means that the score should have never been changed because Team USA was too late. That is the whole premise of what's going on here. Not the fact that the judges were wrong and the judges did not do their job correctly. It was Team USA was too late to appeal, so the score should have because originally I think the young lady from Romania was supposed to win bronze, but after the score changed, it was awarded to Jordan Chiles. So they're not really looking at the fact that the judges were incorrect at first and went to correct themselves. That's not what we're looking at. All right, cool. What they're looking at is, Team USA was 4 seconds too late. Cool. But then there was video evidence showing that indeed Team USA was not too. In fact, they had time to spare. The video evidence is saying that the appeal for the score came like 45 seconds in. So as soon as let's get this ball rolling. Hold on. Nope. But now they're saying that y'all can't. Essentially, they're saying no. We said what we said. Jordan Chiles got to give her gold or give her medal back because we were wrong, and because we were wrong the first time, we can't correct ourselves. What? I started this by saying it's very interesting who presidents get set on. And as much as y'all don't want to hear me say it, I don't care. It's usually most of the time at the expense of black people or underprivileged people. The only few times that a medal has been stripped from somebody is cheating and I think doping. That's the only time. Now, you can look back in the history of the Olympics. That is the only time when a Olympic medal has been stripped. This would be the first time in Olympic history that someone has been axed. And what it sounded like is they're trying to force Jordan to give back her bronze medal because they messed up. And what's even worse about this whole situation is they corrected it. So she should have won in the first place. Like she should have won. So the rightful owner of the bronze medal has the bronze medal. But because they messed up in the beginning and I guess wasn't able to go back or something, they're trying to take away the rightful winner for someone that didn't win. Didn't win. So when you hear people screaming racism, when that R word, because a lot of people don't like that R word, that racism word, when you hear people throwing that out, and then obviously you have the people like, oh, you always make it about race. My thing is, how could it not be? My question is this. If the roles were reversed, if Romania was the one that has the bronze medal right now, that Romanian young lady that has the bronze medal on her neck, do you think that the Olympics would go as hard as to make her give up the award to Jordan Chiles? Mind you, this is and I talked about this. This is the same Olympics that has a child molester. They had a child molester, a well-known child molester, participate. You think of that? I don't want to throw it out there, but you can just guess what race that child molester was not. That's why I'm very adamant, bro. If I'm Jordan Chiles, you gonna have to see me. Like you gonna have to send John Wick. You gonna have to send Jesus and the 12 disciples. You gonna have to send the transporter. You gonna have to send Blade. You gonna have to send the Babadook. You gonna have to send everybody my way and show me that you really want this gold medal back. Because this medal back. Because ain't no way I'm giving this back. I'm the rightful owner of this, bro. Y'all corrected your mistake, meaning I'm supposed to have this. Nah. There's no way. You're gonna have to rip it. You're gonna have to rip T.I. new chain. You're gonna have to rip that joint off my neck. Because ain't no way you think I'm giving this joint back. You be like, but if you give it back, you're still going to be wrecking. Nigga, bruh. That's another thing, bro. Like, they always expect us to just, like, go high. We're always, and when I say we, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They always expect us to do the right thing to them, because nothing about this situation is right. This would be a situation that sets a precedent. What you not finna do is do it on my back. Jordan Chiles doesn't deserve this. Honestly, the Romanian girl don't deserve it neither. Nigga, take that fourth place. You get a participation trophy, maybe. It just sucks that, and then for the other people, she already has a bunch of medals. Like, what is one more? Do you have one? It's interesting. You're telling me to give back something that you ain't got. You're telling me to give back something that she worked her life for. And again, I understand it's bronze, but again, you have the world, the entire nation, the world competing for 3 spots. And I was one of the 3. And now you're trying to nah. But they're going to have to send Don Toretto and his family to get that Olympic medal back. That's wicked. I pray for Jordan. I pray for the whole family because this has to be traumatic, bro. Again, I know people. It's a material thing, bro. They work their entire lives for this moment, and now you're trying to rip it away because a technicality, which I can't stress this enough. The technicality is they messed up at first. They went back and got it right. So the technicality isn't, oh, they messed up and they got it right. The technicality is we want to live with the mess up. What? Holiday Hoobie Whatty? You're telling me that you rather die on the messed up hill instead of just letting the corrected hill rock? You're willing to say, I know we messed up, but the girl that didn't deserve it, go get after her. Go make her happy. No. Man. Again, all the love in the world goes to Jordan Chiles. She's a beautiful young lady, a talented young lady. And she's a multiple time Olympic medalist. And if it was me, now again, I'm nowhere close to as decorated as Jordan Chiles. But if it was me and they made me, you gonna have to show me how much you want this bronze medal back. You gonna have to show me. Boy, we gonna test something out. Cause I'm not just willingly give this away. I'm not even in Paris no more. I'm home. Come find me. That's crazy. But that's my takeaway from the Olympics, man. Well, that's some things I want to talk about. So let's move forward. Let's talk about this Dearica Hamby situation real quick. Now, I do want to commend all the women in the W. In fact, I'll leave that conversation in a second. Let's stay focused on this one because this is serious. Dearica Hamby is suing, I think, both the Las Vegas Aces and the WNBA as a whole for harassment and discrimination while being pregnant or because she was pregnant, which essentially found herself getting traded to the LA Sparks. Now, mind you, Dearica Hamby is a multiple-time, I think, 6th Player of the Year. She is a multiple-time All-Star. She has multiple championships. She's a great player. Now, let me first say this. I'm going to give myself a caveat or asterisk. What I'm about to say does not in any way, shape, or form discredit what Dearica Hamby has said that she's went through. Not only does it not discredit it, it doesn't justify what she went through, what I'm about to say. I don't agree at all with harassment in general, whether it's same sex, whether it's opposite sex, whether it's employment. We're all people. And we all should be treated and respected as people. And if what Dearica Hamby says is true, and I'm only saying if because Jalen Hunter, was not there. So I don't know what is to be real. I don't know what's to be true. But what I know is if what Dearica Hamby is describing happened, I think it is beyond nasty, beyond trifling that an organization allowed this to happen, that a league allowed this to happen. Because the reason why I think the WNBA is getting sued is because Dearica Hamby told the league this, and after like a month of investigation or whatever, what's her name? Becky Hammond, who was the coach of the Vegas Aces, was only suspended, I think, like 2 games. So what I'm about to say does not discredit anything. I stand strongly with victims of harassment and victims of discrimination, especially when it's by an organization. But what I will say is this. I understand from the WNBA side, I understand how serious they take pregnancy. See, pregnancy is something that obviously the NBA, the NFL does not have to do. In fact, women's sports are the only sports that have to deal with pregnancy. And when you talk about the WNBA, which is a league full of women, I understand the desire for the league and desire for teams that their players do not get pregnant. Seeing as though a pregnancy is pretty much like a torn ACL in the sense of you're out for the year. 9 months of you're out, not including the recovery time after the pregnancy. So I understand teams that would hope and sway a person to not have a child, because the goal of the organization is to win a championship. The goal of the WNBA is to put the best product out there. It's very hard putting the best product out there when the best players are out due to, I guess in their eyes, a decision they made, not the league, not the organization. That's the reason why the WNBA stopped, because their best players were in the Olympics. So I understand the seriousness that the WNBA takes pregnancy. But I also understand the human aspect of this and how you're not about to stop a person from doing what they want to do with their own body. No one external should have a say on what a woman should do with their own body. You may feel how you feel about certain laws, feel how you feel about certain rules. No one should have a say-so on what somebody else should do with their own body. Which brings me back to this point. If, and I'm only going to say if because I don't know for sure, because I wasn't there. If what Dearica Hamby says happened was true, not only do you owe her much more than an apology, but I have to look at Becky Hammond differently. I have to look at the Las Vegas organization, probably not the players more, but the higher ups differently. Because that's no way, not only to treat an employee, but that's no way to treat a woman that is having a child. I can't imagine the stress of having to deal with growing a healthy child inside of you and then having to deal with external external stuff like your employer literally harassing you to not have a child and doing everything they possibly can to hide that you're having a child or to disclude you from everything that they do. That's crazy. I pray that Dearica Hamby is in a good mental space. I pray that her family is in a very healthy space. And I pray that justice, I'm not going to say justice. I pray that when everything that happened comes to light, that the right actions are taken to rectify whatever happened. Because no one should go through what Dearica Hamby has alleged. I'm only saying alleged. I'm not minimizing. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm saying I personally don't know. Jalen Hunter, I don't know. So I'm not going to, I'm not just going to jump out there. But I do pray for Dearica Hamby. I pray for everyone involved. So let's try to liven up a little bit. Let's talk about the WNBA season coming back. First and foremost, that's another thing, bro. I can't imagine both sides, bro. Like, I can't imagine the league having to stop and you as a player that is not a part of the Olympics having to, you train and everything for a long season and you have to stop midway. And obviously you'll still be training, but there's a difference between training and like in-game stuff and being with the team. It's tough. I commend all the women that have to deal with that, which it sucks that, every 4 years, your team, your season is literally in the middle of the Olympics, which is, but I'm expecting, I also feel for, well, obviously you want to win a gold medal, but you play more, the people that, the people that were on Team USA, like Asia Wilson and Afisa Collier, who you're playing more games. You have more games on your body. Like, I think the season starts tomorrow on Thursday. Like, that's tough for anyone, let alone a woman. So, but I'm expecting big things, man. I think that this is one of the better seasons in WNBA history when we talk about scoring output, when we talk about just excitement. Like, I'm excited to see Dearica Hamby. I think she leads the league in scoring right now, or one of the league leaders in scoring. I'm excited to see how far she can take the Dallas Wings. Also, on top of that, it's proven both in the NBA and WNBA. Usually players that participate in FIBA or participate in the Olympics come back and are better. Just have a better overall season, because you're never going to, you go to the teams or whatever, you're never going to play with the amount of talent that you just played with. These are supposed to be the best players in the world on your team, especially when we talk about Team USA. You're not going to play against that talent every single day, every single night. So a lot of times you elevate, you get better because you're playing better competition. Now you go back and now you're playing players that aren't going to be as great. I'm excited to see how the Olympic players come back. Like, Asia Wilson was already far and away the MVP. She might just go crazy now. Or I know Kalea Copper, I think she's third in the league in scoring. I want to see how she does. And people that played in other countries, like Sabali, that plays for the Dallas Wings. I'm excited to see what she does. Or, Sabrina Nadescu. Like, I think this is going to be a great, great second half of the season. Obviously, we get to see Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and see what the Sky do. Man, it's. I don't know. My Mystics are going to be able to make a run. But I know the Mystics had that player from Australia that was going crazy from three. Yeah, I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a very interesting second half of the season. I think the favorites right now to win it is the New York Liberty, but I am interested to see how the Vegas, because obviously they're back-to-back champs, how Vegas looks, seeing as though now they get more of Chelsea Gray, who was out most of the first half of the season. And the fact that you had Chelsea Gray, Angel Reese. You had Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and Kelsey Plum play for Team USA. I think that's going to elevate their game. If not, well, yeah, I'm excited by the second half, man. I'm excited. Yeah, we'll just have to see. But it's going to be big. Moving forward, man, let's talk about the situation. Let's talk about this Haasan Reddick situation for a second. Boy. The thing that I'm, these last few years, probably these last 2 years, ever since they got Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not blaming Aaron Rodgers for this, but ever since they got Aaron Rodgers, the Jets have been known more for headlines than stuff on the field, even though they have one of the best defenses in football. I'm not taking that away, but bruh, it has been such a loud 2 years for this team. Like, I think the Jets knew that Haasan Reddick was in a contract dispute with the Eagles. I don't know why they thought that trading for him while he's in a contract dispute with the Eagles, why he thought that maybe because he went to the Jets that contract dispute was over with, or maybe they just thought, oh, he probably just needs to change the scenery. No. Word on the street is you're not supposed to trade for a player that's in a contract dispute if you're not willing to pay that contract. And we ain't talking about no scrub. Haasan Reddick has been one of the most productive defensive players in the league for the last few years. He's always amongst the league leaders in sacks. And then now there's been an ongoing dispute between him and the Jets at this point. He has not shown up. They've fined him. I think his fines have exceeded over $1 million. He has not shown up to the Jets. I don't even think he stepped foot in the practice facility. When they were going through OTAs and training camp or whatever, this man was at an anime convention. And the thing is, bro, I'm not blaming Haasan Reddick for any of this. Y'all knew what it was when you traded for me. I don't know, in what world do you trade for somebody that is seeking a contract and you don't give them the contract? Like, why trade for them? Which is what he's saying. Why are you trading for me if you weren't going to pay me what I'm looking for? Which is why he formally requested the trade, which is why I don't understand why they come out and say, no, we're not going to pay you. We do expect you to come to work, though. What? The Jets are going to be the Jets. There's a reason why they haven't won anything since Namath. Excuse me. That just don't make no sense to me. Like say that out loud, bro. You trade for someone that is in a contract dispute, but you had no intentions of paying him a contract and still expect him to be okay and hunky dory. Whew. Yeah, the Jets trash, bro. I don't see nothing wrong with what Haasan Reddick is doing, bro. If you ain't gonna pay me, one, why trade for me, and two, yeah, I'm gonna request a trade, even though I haven't stepped foot in this facility, because y'all knew what it was before you traded for me. What are we talking about? There was y'all knew I was in a contract dispute. You thought that I was just going to stop asking for the money that my production warrants? That's another thing. It's not like he's asking for absurd money. He is one of the best pass rushers in football. So he just wants to be paid what his production warrants. And I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm going to do next episode is I'm going to start really getting into the NFL. I'm going to break down, the AFC, NFC teams. I'm going to break down divisions. Next episode, I'm really going to start dive because I think we have, 4 weeks left until the season starts. So, yeah, next episode, I'm going to really deep dive into it. I was going to do it this episode, but I don't want to boggle down this episode with, Olympics and the seriousness with Dearica Hamby and Jordan Chiles, and then there's a lot. I'm kind of this episode went into a lot of directions. So if you don't, if there's one thing you want to talk about, things you don't want to hear, the timestamps are in the description below. I'm going to do every division it's fair due and talk about every single division and obviously give my predictions and stuff. And I was gonna start this episode, but I'm gonna leave it for next episode. So with that being said, there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I truly appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate all of you guys. If you like the content, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. It means a lot. Also, please subscribe to the DSPs. I understand that some people only watch me on YouTube. Some people only listen to me on DSPs. So for all the DSP listeners, please subscribe, whether that's SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your DSPs and listening to me. I appreciate it. Please subscribe. Also, follow the socials. Follow Instagram. Follow TikTok. I post pretty much daily there. You can get reels. You can get stories. You can post. Obviously, if you want to go back and forth and debate, that's probably the quickest way to get to me. If you want to message me, tell me how much my take sucks. Tell me how much you love my take. Hey, I appreciate it all. Just keep it respectful, and I don't mind going back and forth. Just it means that you're passionate about whatever we're talking about and you're listening to me, which it means a lot. So yeah, I appreciate all you guys. And again, I'm going to start going heavy into football next episode. Just a heads up. Until next time, much love.